What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I did a story that broke on Monday about a Detroit mother of 5 that lost 2 children due to exposure after they died in a parking garage out there in Detroit, Michigan. Shout out Detroit. Since then, you know, this horrible tragedy, the mother has came out and spoken to news outlets, and she's getting the help that she so desperately desired after the death of her 2 children, a 9-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. May they rest in peace. This is a horrific story. But the woman got on TV and she spoke and talked a little bit about how she got in that position. And a lot of people are talking about this. And I want to show you what the mayor said, and also her television interview. And a lot of people are tearing this woman apart. A lot of people are, being sympathetic at the same time. Take a look at this. I'm gonna come back with my commentary. Take a look.
Now to another heartbreaking story. It's one of our top stories right now that we're following on clickondetroit.com. The medical examiner right now trying to figure out why a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old were found dead in a van at the Hollywood Casino parking garage over in Greektown. Police believe the children died of hypothermia. Right now, city leaders are reminding anyone struggling with homelessness that help is available. Demand Fernandez joins us now with the latest on the investigation into this tragedy. There are so many questions this afternoon, Demand.
Yeah, and Karen, police are revealing that family may have been living in their van about 2 to 3 months and traveling to different casinos in the city seeking shelter because of free parking. Well, today the police chief told us the mother has a lot of pride. He said she loved her kids and wanted to keep the family together. Well, Detroit's mayor is also weighing in on this tragedy.
It's a terrible day in Detroit as we deal with the tragic loss of 2 young people, and it's got to make us rethink everything that we're doing.
And that's Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan speaking out one day after police discovered 2 children died from what they currently believe to be hypothermia. Investigators say the children died in freezing conditions while staying in a van parked in the Hollywood Casino garage on Monday. The 2-year-old and 9-year-old victims who died were among 5 children ranging in ages 2 to 13 living in that van with their mother. Mayor Duggan's revealing the family did reach out to the city's housing department back in November last year, saying they needed a place to stay. However, the mayor says he learned no resolution was reached. 3 weeks later, on December 16th, the city opened a family drop-in center with beds for those in need. However, the mayor said he learned the family never called the city back, and no one from the city services proactively tried reaching back out to the family. Detroit has added more shelter beds during this winter and homeless outreach workers. Now, Mayor Duggan's urging Detroit's deputy mayor and housing services director to evaluate the city homeless outreach policies and report back to him.
We have to make sure that we do everything possible to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I'm not trying to talk about an individual employee. I'm talking about the system as a whole. Are we doing everything to make sure people in this city know how to access this critical care?
And Mayor Duggan says he's giving that team 2 weeks to report their findings and recommendations. For now, police are telling us the children's mother's not detained, and this remains an ongoing investigation. Now, if you or someone you know is in need of emergency shelter services, the city wants you to know that help is available. You can find a list of resources on clickondetroit.com. Karen, back to you.
All right, thanks, Damon. We're bringing in Dr. McGeorge for a little bit more insight, because when this happened, everyone said, how in the world can this happen, and how often does it happen? I mean, you're in the ER. I mean, what do you see?
Well, this is breathtakingly tragic. I mean, so when the patients that I see primarily in the emergency department are significantly altered. So these are individuals who are either intoxicated or they've had trauma, for example, and they're laying in the snow and they can't get up to warm themselves up. And that's because, initially the response to a drop drop in your body temperature is that you're going to feel cold, you're going to shiver, you're going to do things to change your environment naturally. That's what just makes sense. But if that doesn't happen and you remain in the cold for a long period of time, your body temperature does drop. And as your body temperature drops, you become less able to then respond and change your environment around you. So you become colder and colder, and eventually it can cause death.
And I don't want to be too graphic, but at the same time, I want to learn. So we're talking about, inside, is there a timeline when this happens, or when Oregon shut down, or what actually physically happens, if you can?
Well, so it's different for every situation. And so, again, most of the time people are altered, or they're old, or they have dementia or something like that. For this to happen in a child is very unusual, because young people in general can get up and put more clothes on, or complain, or change their environment again. In young babies, of course, they're left out. They can't put more clothes on. They are obviously at higher risk. But this is it really highlights the point that you need to pay attention to people who are unable to respond to their environment. You need to pay special attention to the elderly and to the very young in these kinds of circumstances. But this kind of tragedy should never happen in a metropolitan area where there are warming centers available.
All right, Doc, we appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
A grieving mother trying to cope with a heartbreaking family tragedy is speaking out tonight to 7 News Detroit. She had been living in a van parked at the Hollywood Casino parking garage with her 4 children when the unthinkable happened. 2 of them died from what appears to be hypothermia. 7 News Detroit reporter Brett Cass telling us the mom says she tried to get help for her homeless family, but no one answered the call until it was too late.
I lost the one who made me a mother. I lost a 2-year-old. I'm dying inside. It hurt. I feel like my heart is breaking. And I have 2 more kids to live for.
It's been a long journey for Tatiana Williams, with an even tougher battle ahead. She spent the last 3 months living in a van with her children.
And I regret having to sleep out there so bad. I tell them I'm sorry, but I tried. I tried to keep hotels. I tried to pay people to stay there. It wasn't working for me.
1 a.m. on Monday morning, they parked at the Hollywood Greektown Casino parking garage in below freezing temps. Overnight, the car ran out of gas, and the next day, her 9-year-old son was not breathing.
I tried to give him CPR, and I was just giving him CPR. I just kept saying, Fetty, don't leave me. Don't leave me, please.
After a friend helped take him to the hospital, her 2-year-old daughter was also found unresponsive. Both were later pronounced dead from what appears to be hypothermia.
She didn't even get to live her life. She didn't get to do nothing. She lost her life because I had to sleep in the car.
In a press conference, the mayor and city leaders confirmed that Tatiana did call the city's homeless response team back in November, but nothing ever came of it.
At least as far as we've been able to determine so far, the family never called back again for service. And as far as we've been able to tell, our homeless staff never proactively reached out to say, what happened with your situation? Was it resolved?
Mayor Duggan is now calling for a review of the city's homeless services, while Tatiana is now in a shelter and her kids are with relatives.
It took my 2 kids to die for y'all to help me. It just don't work like that. It hurt losing 2 kids in one night. I don't wish this on nobody. And if you can get help, please go get help. Because I don't want nobody else to go through what I'm feeling.
And the new McFall Brothers Funeral Home here in Detroit is providing funeral services for these children free of charge to the family. Now, if you are homeless or on the verge of homelessness, you can call 866-313-2520. We also have more resources listed on our website, wxyz.com. In downtown Detroit, I'm Brett Cass, 7 News Detroit.
All right, that's the story. You've seen the woman, Tatiana Williams, age 29, from Detroit, talking about how devastated she is and how nobody would help her. Now, you know how I am on this channel. I'm going to keep it real. It's a lot wrong with this story. And I do sympathize and have sadness for her for losing 2 children. But there's a lot of negligence that went on in this. And I'm going to start with this. She wasn't the only adult out there in that van for 3 damn months. Her mother was there. So you have a grandmom, Miss Williams' mother, Miss Williams herself, 2 of their siblings, Miss Williams' siblings, 17-year-old and a 13-year-old, also homeless, living in a van. And then her children, ages 9, I think they said the other one was 8, 4, 2, and another child, I guess, because they said it was 5 of them. 2 of them died. Once you think about that for a second, you got a mother, your mother's mother, her siblings, your siblings, and then your kids in the van that ran out of gas. I don't know if she was working. It's only talking about her homeless. So here's the thing. In the interview, she was never asked any questions like, hey, do you have a job? How do you make your money? How you been feeding these kids? You've been out there for 3 months. How do you make, you understand what I'm saying? It was only an outpouring of crying, which I didn't see any tears. Not saying, I guess she was all cried out, being honest with you, because I mean, people grieve differently. You know, a lot of people like, oh, they ain't no tears. And I can't call it. I don't know how she's feeling. I know she's devastated and it's upsetting. But I mean, come on. You contacted the people, a hotline in November when it was cold. It was getting cold. Your mom is in the car. 2 adults, a 17-year-old, practically an adult. No ideas was passed. You couldn't call the police and say, listen, we're sleeping in vans. We need help. What outlets can we go to? They contacted the place one time and for them, and then supposedly never contacted again. Fuck it, we'll handle it. And look what happened. I gotta be honest with this. I mean, yeah, you can give sympathies to people that lose children, and I do sympathize with them because she didn't plan for this to happen. Some people are like, lock her up. I'm not feeling that neither. There are a lot of people out here that don't know how to survive. They don't, ladies and gentlemen. They don't. All we had to do is have some type of serious natural disaster. And there are people that can't get themselves in order. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty well adept at taking care of myself. But if I'm by myself, but taking care of others, depending on the needs and stuff that they have, it still presents a challenge. I don't understand this. You got a grown up, she's 29, so the mom got to be in her 40s or 50s, and none y'all couldn't put your heads together and say, okay, let's go to a hospital, walk in there and say, listen, we have nowhere to go, it's cold, what can we do? Can you call the police and they'll direct us to a shelter? We have a serious problem. I got a 2-year-old baby that can't sleep in the cold fucking car. Does that make sense? Does it? And don't get me wrong, I'm not tearing this woman apart because some people just don't know. She did make a call, but she should have stayed on their ass. Another thing is this, you got a cell phone. I'm sure you was on that phone. It's a fucking computer in your hand. It's like being on a desktop. You can type up shelters near me that take children. Come on. And then on top of that, you're a woman with children. That's priority in housing, shelter housing. Some of this I'm not buying. Then she's saying, oh, it took my kids to die for y'all to give me help. Ma'am, stop it. Why are you talking and your mom not on there? Think about that. She doing the talking, but the mom ain't nowhere to be seen. Your mother, who's supposed to be older than you, have wisdom, where you can count on her and you pulling the weight. What the hell's really going on? It's a lot that's unanswered in this. But the real reality is 2 children are dead. 2 children are dead. People have children and don't know what to do a lot of times. Don't have a plan. Ain't no damn way I'm living 3 months in a car and surviving cold nights every night with babies in the car. Think about it. The car ran out of gas. You got 2 adults in the car. Was you getting assistance? Where was you making your money? Were the children eating? These are all questions that you got to think about. I know everybody's like, oh yeah, well it's sad and this and that. And trust me, don't get me wrong. I'm not beating a woman up. I'm just looking at the big picture. Like, it makes no sense to me that you had people that know how to survive. You understand what I'm saying? Grown-ups. And nobody can put their head together and say, okay, well, let's just do this. The situation's critical. We got to go for broke. Let's just show up and say, listen, can you help me? We from this city, where are the benefits that will help us? And then we'll take it from there. That's all I'm saying. What y'all think in the comments section? Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. This woman, Tatiana Williams, you know what I'm saying? My heart goes out to her for losing her children. But it's a lot of stuff that has me scratching my head as well. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. One more thing, real quick. You have multiple children. Where was the kid, dad or dads? Seriously, I don't know no man that would let his child sleep in vans or be homeless. Even if he lived with his mama or not, or whoever. That this whole thing don't make sense to me, y'all. It don't. Yeah, you looking for a shelter to stay, and you talking about you ain't want to separate the family and stuff. That might have been your greatest downfall, because I'm not going to let my kids suffer if I'm not right. I can't get them right. Sometimes you got to separate yourself to get yourself back on your feet, and your kids will gladly come back to you. So much is missing with this. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know any man that would leave children out in the cold. I'm done. Thanks for listening.